Hello, everyone. Welcome to SKY MAMI Lounge. I'm your host, Marisa, and I am joined today by the era of tech.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
So today we're going to get into some chisme, right? And I get the exclusive opportunity to interview Tech, who has an amazing influence on social media. Is this your first time being on a podcast?
No, this is
Okay.
not. But this is the first one that I'm seeing myself live though.
So you've done an audio only podcast?
I've done an audio only, but the recording I wasn't seeing in real person or in real time.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Yeah.
So you get to see yourself. Um, you comfortable?
Yeah.
We got a couple sound checks going on. So I guess we were just talking about just random things that were happening and catching up. So Tech and I used to work together at 6RTB over in Eglin, Florida. And I was a medevac pilot at the time, and he was a ranger instructor. But I want to talk to you about like how you got these cool jobs, right? So you're a qualified ranger. Before this, you were a drill sergeant, right?
Yes.
What was the opportunity that came up that allowed you to become a ranger instructor for Florida phase of Ranger School?
Okay. So that's a solid question. That's gonna unveil a lot of nuances that are wrong with the military in general, and I'm glad to talk about it.
All right, let's do it.
So fast forward. So we're gonna go back and then we're gonna go forward. We're gonna
We're gonna meet in the middle somewhere.
No, we're gonna talk. We're gonna have a flash forward, like the movie Memento.
Okay.
We're gonna show the ending,
Okay.
and then we're gonna go back to the beginning, show some parts of the middle, and then it's gonna all make sense at the end.
All right, I'm gonna try and follow
It's
you.
one of my favorite movies of all time, Memento.
Memento.
It's a great movie. So the end state is that I am a ranger instructor at the sixth RTB in the final phase of Florida. How I got here was um a lot of hard work, and
Amen, brother.
and a lot of networking and being just so blessed and grateful for opportunities, for making connections throughout my military career.
That's what the Army pays him to say.
No, absolutely not.
No, it's totally genuine. This is the most genuine dude ever.
I I have I was not birthed with a filter. So for me, I graduated Ranger School in 2016, 0516. I was a recycle like everyone should be. Okay. No one deserves to go straight through. And if you go straight through, bless you. You had someone watching over you. But for everyone else who's gone through Ranger School and recycle like everyone should, for me, it was really tough. My son was born less than a year prior in 2015 in April, and his 1 year his birthday was coming. His 1 year birthday was coming up, and I recycled Darby because I l- I was lucky to have the opportunity to go, but unlucky because the first sergeant of the company that I was in was also my senior drill sergeant from basic training.
Wow.
And he remembered me.
Oh my God.
He remembered me, and he walked my lane as a first sergeant and to graded me as a Bravo team leader back when they were grading the squad level stuff.
Yeah.
And I obviously failed because no matter what I did,
It's not good enough.
it was not good enough. But little did I know, it was just another test.
Yeah.
So he recycled me, and then I recycled Darby, and then I had one look in every face. I don't know if someone was looking out for me or anything,
Hmm.
um, or not, because I also got sick in Florida with NVD. So like around the Christmas time frame or post Christmas, there's always like nausea, vomit, or diarrhea, some 48-hour symptom thing that you had, and I was patient 2. I wasn't patient 0 or patient 1. I was
Yeah.
patient 2, and I made it through for that.
Dang, you made it through even as a casualty. It's
Oh,
crazy.
I barely made it through with, like,
Crazy.
sick call hours and everything because I was puking.
Yeah.
Every sneeze did not go in the direction that I wanted. It
Dude,
was
that's the most,
unreal.
like that's the one experience that makes you feel like a human. Like, you just
When you sneeze and then, like, you can't
yeah,
control your bowels, and you're in a porta
yeah,
potty, or you're
yeah.
just sprinting to a porta potty, and then you're
God
like
damn.
and you're like,
I feel like we've all been there.
I hope to make it. I hope to
Yeah.
make it in time." I made it in time.
Good. Good, good, good.
For me personally, like, I don't mind sharing this part of the story. I knew with my one look that I was good. This wasn't the time frame where they were telling you were, but I put boot to ass because I did not care about anyone's feelings when I was in a leadership position.
Okay.
Because I'm in a leadership position and I need to get a mission accomplished. I do not need to be PC with you. I just need to accomplish this so that we
Get
can all
results and
we
get
get result
everybody to the
and we can
next
go.
skate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So every morning we would wait as a squad. We would get together. We would like literally little kumbaya moment,
Oh,
and
good.
then we would go
Flip
turn
that
it on,
switch.
and we would look at each other and we'd be like, "Hey, I'm in a leadership position. X is in a leadership position today. Don't take anything we say in a personal way, and we're gonna turn it on because when we look back at this, we're gonna be like, we did this together.
Yeah, it's us
Don't
against them, you
It's
know?
us against the RIs."
Yeah, when I feel like whenever I got that cohesion, that team cohesion and the experiences that I've had in the military, we came out successful on the other side. And that's when you really make or break like your brotherhood and that friendship and that loyalty because it's like, yeah, we're here, we're flipping that switch, not taking things personal. We're here to achieve a collective goal. And that's what makes or breaks the situation.
So I graduated Ranger School. My drill sergeant was there at my graduation. He made it a point to be there. He didn't have to be there.
Yeah.
The same way he didn't have
You said
to.
he was an RA at Darby Phase?
Yes, he was an
Okay,
R.
so he's stationed here.
So 2010, it was his last drill cycle, and he was prepping to
Wow.
go to Ranger School. And he's one of
Yeah.
those dudes that stayed at
Here.
Fort Benning before it became Fort
Yeah.
Moore. He stayed at Fort Benning for the majority of his career.
Yeah.
Obviously, if I say his name and you see him in the Infantry Hall of Fame in the first Bradley that had an EMP
Wow.
go go through it, you'll know who he is.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, he made it evident to go to my graduation to make sure that I went through. But again, I had people looking out for me. You can say they were angels, they were my previous leadership that looked out for me because getting that NVD or that the nausea, vomiting, diarrhea close to
Mhm.
like sick call hours, capabilities and stuff, I could, in some people's eyes, not have graduated.
Yeah.
But I was under the required, like, the max requirement of like sick call hours of like 72 hours. I was like 66, 68 hours, which is relatively close and a little too close to comfort, especially
Yeah.
when you're like a BRC.
And you're that close to finishing, you know, like, God.
The next cycle's a BRC recycle. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, 6 weeks, and you're like, I'm. When I had that first recycle, I was like, that's my buffer.
Yeah.
That was my buffer. That I needed to learn what I needed to do, and I needed to start. I decided to do Best Ranger with no thinking like, hey, I'm a beast. No, I was afforded the opportunity. I'm gonna take full advantage. I'm gonna train to the best of my abilities. And if I shoot for the stars and aim for the moon and I just fail, I'm still around greatness. Like that was
Yeah,
like,
you're around hard hitters, and
yeah.
it's actually more admirable that you tried and failed. A lot of people
Oh,
don't even
I am
try.
that is my
Like, that is something that I, like, really it really resonates with me because I've had opportunities where I've shot for some hard goals and didn't have the outcome I wanted, but because I did it, I had more courage than my peers who won't even put in an application.
but what you're doing though is so admirable. Like I don't think you understand the secondary and tertiary effects of what you do, especially on your persona on social media.
Really?
It can be single. Sir, there's going to be certain people who are going to look at it single way and in a single way.
Mhm.
but the secondary and tertiary effects of what you're doing as a father with a daughter, like, I cannot be more proud to have women like you in our armed services because my daughter will have fucking role models out there.
That's why I do
And
it. Oh
and
my god, thank you.
and this is the same thing as an RI, not that I personally isolate the females for, but the ones that are struggling, yes, I am a fucking leader first,
Yes.
and I'm an RI second because I got to go to Ranger School as an NCO.
Yeah.
So that I have that longer than I've been Ranger qualified. That's
Mhm.
not, but I'm also a father of 2 wonderful kids, and they deserve great role models. And I will tell you from a personal story that recently happened to me. I was in SLC here
Here, yeah.
2 years ago, right? 2 summers ago. And I'm out there at Smith Gym.
Yeah.
Young cat comes up to me. Hey man, I just failed RASP. What do I fucking do? I'm going to the conventional unit. And I was like, okay, and he's like, I want to go back to RASP. I was like, what do they expect you from you?
Yeah.
He's like, they want
What's
me
the
to go to Ranger.
feedback?
What?
Yeah.
Uh, I need to go to Ranger School. All right, bro, go to Ranger School. Come back. Go back to RASP. Fast fucking forward. I'm a drill sergeant at the time. I am an RI. And for the stars, I am a huge believer. Not just because I'm Hispanic, but I'm a huge believer
You
that
believe in that brujeria,
that
don't you?
brujeria,
Oh,
exactly. Like the
yes.
stars align, and
Yes.
like there's a creator out there who is playing. We are puppets.
Yeah.
Our story has already been written. We
Okay.
are just reading it one day at a time, right? God has already written our stories. We are just reading it one day at a time. My story is he aligned us, and I'm in Ranger School, and I don't recognize this kid, but he remembers my words of encouragement from that one interaction we had at the gym
Yeah.
2 years prior, and and I get to walk him,
Yeah, yeah.
and I get to see this kid. He's a child. He's a child compared to me. I'm 37. He's a child. He's in his 20s or, yeah, or early 20s. I see just this oozing of leadership, right? He's just the epitome of what you want to see a young, lethal warrior in today's time, just getting after it.
I love that. We probably have similar experiences where it's like, "Hey, great, let's celebrate you in these experiences and these accomplishments, but when's the next one happening?" You know, like you don't even have a chance to like really grasp like, hey, the power and the influence in the moment. It's like, okay, cool, cool, cool. Next. You know, like
It's like the Eddie
yeah.
Murphy, like the early '90s Eddie Murphy was like, "What have you done for me lately,
Yeah,
Eddie?"
that. And it's like, okay, cool, cool, cool. I remember my abuelo was at my graduation for college, right? My undergrad. And great moment, amazing moment for me. It's like, it's huge, you know? And then he was like, okay, well, when's grad school? You know, like, I mean, yeah, I'll get there, but like, can we just celebrate this? Like, this is a huge accomplishment in
But that isn't
itself.
that so stereotypical of
Yes.
Hispanic families? Like,
Yes.
you're only as good as the last thing you accomplished, and you could
Yes.
surpass your family, but
Yeah.
then but they're
Mhm.
like, "Okay, please pass us." I love that mentality
Yeah.
because it's so toxic.
Yeah.
It is so toxic,
I'm glad we
and
can
it
talk about that
motivates.
now. We're the generation to explore that and analyze it and be like, "Wait a second, are we the ones to break that generational curse?" You know?
God, I love
And
that you
then
said
you
that.
you
I
are a
love that you
father,
said that.
and like you mentioned it too, like you are making sure that your children have the exact role model that they need, and the mentorship and the motivation and the drive and the good safe place to grow up and explore their emotions and who they are, and not have to be worried about I'm not good enough or that imposter syndrome. You know, like you are good enough. You're here. You're doing it. You're experiencing it. You know, and I'm glad like now you're in that position too. And as our generation, like we have an opportunity to really like look at this and change it. So
It is so evident in our
yeah.
community because, like, what was our parents and our grandparents,
Yeah.
they would just stereotype, like, just anyone and everyone. If
Yeah,
they
they
are of
did.
if they were of Asian descent,
Yep.
they were automatically el chino,
Yep.
and
Or indios.
if they
Yeah.
were black, el negrito.
Yep.
And if you say
Mhm.
this nowadays,
Oh,
but I
yeah.
also like it's on PC, but like
Yeah.
there's also a lot of things where it's like the American culture is trying to influence the Spanish culture, and I don't agree with.
Yeah,
Like,
because when you go to the Spanish countries, they're still gonna be this way. Like, there's no changing it. They're very matter of fact. They say things as it is described. Like, "Oh, that short dude over there, that short white dude over there." That's how they would describe
but
you,
that's
and that's
the language,
A
and the
lot of other
culture.
countries and cultures are like that. The United States is the one that's outlier.
I was blessed to be in New York City growing up, and
Yeah.
unblessed to be in New York City growing up because it's a melting pot. Like
Yeah.
being born and raised in Queens, New York, it's a
Mhm.
melting pot of like what you see and experience. But the craziest thing I've ever culturally experienced was seeing Koreans that had Argentinian accents and Uruguayan accents.
I had a
It
similar
blew
experience,
my
yeah.
effing mind. Like, and then it blew my mind recently too because I'm coming. Where am I coming from? I am coming from New York City, and I'm coming back to Florida and stuff. And I see a Korean couple, beautiful Korean couple. The wife is pregnant, and I hear that Uruguayan Argentinian accent, and it automatically just connects you to that person.
Mhm.
And I reached out and I was like, "Hey, that's a beautiful accent you have. What do you guys need?" Because like in the Hispanic culture, that the language connects people.
That's right. That's
That
absolutely
because
right.
like you connect with people, and the accents are those keys that
Mhm.
give you like connection
Familiarity, yeah.
regardless of where your background is. If you hear that
Yeah.
Spanish accent, that Spanish language, or and then you hear the accent, that automatically connects you.
That makes you primos.
Yeah, automatically. And they were a beautiful Argentinian Korean couple that are studying in Florida for Christianity.
That's awesome.
I remember I was on a walk recently,
Mhm.
and I'm coming out of like the swamp movement and stuff, and my parents they rent their a one studio apartment in New York City to a lovely Hawaiian lady. Like she's from Hawaii and she's a nurse, the best tenant I've ever seen or ever experienced with. The house is just 20 years old and has experienced a lot of like nuances that happen with like
Yeah,
a house that is that
yeah.
old. And the shower just burst and there's water leaking. My parents not knowing what to do because of technology changing so fast, and like not being able to fix that, like, like, you know how, like, in the Hispanic culture, "Oh, we have a cousin that can
He's a
do it,"
plumber,
but
they could do it, yeah.
yeah, yeah, but they're not they're never, like
They're busy. They got a lot of
they're busy,
clients,
and
yeah.
then or they're not, like, legit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
"Hey, I'm good at doing this, but in this state or whatever, I'm not certified to do this stuff."
Yeah.
So, like, to do that while I'm walking and stuff and I'm
Oh, to
trying
deal with that and
oh,
juggle
it
that.
is
The mind hurdles that you
especially with having
overcome,
2 sisters that are so
yeah,
close
that
to my
could help you
parents.
manage that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, "Hey,
But I don't blame him. I don't blame him
yeah,
because I am the older sibling and
yeah,
I'm the male in that family. Like,
yeah,
so it is inherently my responsibility
that's right.
to take care of the parents, to let my sisters enjoy their livelihood. Like, I
Mm.
have a lovely sister who recently got married a couple years ago, or 2 years ago now. And I was unfortunate I wasn't able to go to her wedding in Costa Rica because work
Yeah, I
trumped
understand.
it.
Yeah.
Work trumped it, but I was afforded the opportunity to send my wife, my 2 kids to go. Um,
Nice.
yeah, Costa Rica,
Dude,
I
that's
mean, I was it's
awesome.
pretty sweet
That's
to go
impressive.
to and then I have another sister who is, in her early 20s or, like, in her mid-20s right now, and, I just wished her the best, but, like, my parents are at that age where they're just reliant so much on help, but they're also so resistant from actual
Change, yeah,
help.
from actual help.
And like we are
Preach, brother, preach.
like they're in New York City, right? They our parents or my parents, all they have is this home
Yeah,
that is worth a ridiculous amount of money because it's New York City.
that's right.
It's in a it's worth so much. They're like, this is ours. We
Have
bought
to
this.
hold on to
We
it.
have to hold on to it.
Yeah, they're
Because if
leaving it for
not,
you. Yeah.
yes, they're leaving it for the kids
Yeah.
or for the grandkids. And I was
Yep.
just
I
like,
have the same conversation. We're living parallel lives here. Same conversation with my
and
mom.
I'm assuming you had this conversation. It's like, I
I
don't
don't want to
care.
go.
I
I
don't
don't want to
care.
live in where
No,
you live.
you're telling your
Yeah.
mom, I don't care. I don't need
I
your
don't
money.
need your money. I just need you to be healthy and happy. That's it.
No, I want you to live your fucking life.
Yes, that
Live your
too.
fucking
Just
life.
live your life the way you
What
want
do
to
you
live
want?
it.
What say
Like,
one thing that you wanted to do in your life.
yeah.
My mom would go. I wanted to go to Uruguay, or I want to go to Paris, or I want to go to Europe.
Okay, then go.
Sell the fucking house and go.
Yeah.
Go.
Go. Yeah, I have a
But
really close relationship with my grandmothers, and the one that's still alive, she and I are tight. So I love that. And I grew up with both sets of grandparents. They're highly involved in my life. And yeah, you want that for your kids.
you want abuela, you want your
Yeah.
the grandparents there.
As a single soldier, I'm expected in my family to go to them during the holidays, not them come to me. So that's another thing that I kind of want to talk about. I don't really want to talk about, but like it is.
Let's talk about it.
Okay, let's talk about it. So like my other frustration with that is like, let's say I do go home to North Carolina, wherever I'm stationed, I go home to North Carolina, right? I got a little bit of time. And it's not just the family. The family on one side on the Mar side of the family, they actually appreciate any time they get with me. They never put pressure on me. They're like, we just want you to be happy, live your life. And it didn't occur to me that that's all they wanted from me until I was in college. And I'm like, wow, that's actually really great. So the time I do spend with them is amazing. They never put pressure on me during the holidays. If I get there, I get there. If not, we'll figure it out. But the part that I have a problem with is like when I do go home to North Carolina and I tell my friends, hey, I'm in town, they want me to fucking travel. Like I already have to travel 9 hours to get home, right? And my friends want me to travel another 2 hours to go see them. Oh, you got to come through. You got to come through. Why can't you just meet me there? Like take a day trip, like,
Because people are living their lives outside of you. Like, so
yeah,
you're like in a book, and then you're like engaging into like like you're just emerging with somebody else's life.
yeah,
And like they don't understand the passage that you had to go to get to that
to get to that
merge.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, dude,
You're
you're still
so
driving.
close. You're still driving. You
You're
might
still
as well just come through.
yeah. Like, what's it like?
Hey man, I'm
What's an
really,
extra hour to come see me? Like,
yeah,
hey, what's 9 hours to you? Oh, I'm not gonna do that.
yeah.
I'm not gonna do that.
No, they're not gonna do that. I want to circle back to like, your social media influence. Like, how do you maintain who you are as the genuine, humble self, right? We heard his upbringing. I want to know, how do you deal with all those bro vets that think they know what a good leader is and they just throw it in your face all the damn time and they're like, oh, you're just not right, you're not a real ranger, all that kind of stuff. How do you deal with that and still hold a good face and truly what's important and being that good mentor and like you said, the second and third order effects and being that role model to other people who are seeing through that bullshit and see the real you and want to continue on their path? Like, how do you maintain who you are on social media?
Hurt people, hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
So they're the people I understand. In the past, I've let like people who have had opinions about me affect me.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I got to know who these people were outside of their anonymity or wherever they try to hide behind
Yeah.
and just looked for them, I realized they had no value.
Yeah.
They have no value. They would hide behind a persona or an entity
Mm-hmm.
because they are so hurt and so broken. So for me, that took away all the power they had of
Mm-hmm.
their influence or like telling me I'm a piece of shit or I'm a trash leader for this and that. And the crazy thing is like it's like 10% of the time. Like 90% of the
There
time
you go.
that
Yeah.
signs like the people that come into your DMs and everything are like, you've influenced me in X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Like on this training this TDY that I'm on right now for my EIB.
Yeah.
Like I've seen so many people that like, hey, Sarn Tech, like, and I'm like, hey,
Hey, buddy.
do I know you?
I
Like,
know
do
you.
I owe you money? Like stuff like that. Like,
How many
but
people you owe money that
no,
that's your
no,
first thought?
no. It's just like, hey, like,
Yeah, yeah.
what did I do?
Golly. And that's what makes it hard to actually develop a work-life balance because you end up bringing work home or work finds you at home and your phone's blowing up, like the text messages after hours. And even when the Army tries to put out, don't put anything out after hours unless it's absolutely necessary, they still do it. Like my phone, as a maintenance test pilot, I'm the only maintenance test pilot in my unit, in my company. My phone's supposed to ring 24 hours. If they're flying overnight, who are they going to call? Me. So it's like I have to be available to make sure that I give those recommendations to the commander. And it's like, crap, what do we do? Someone has to be on standby. You know, we have 365 ops. So it just sucks because it's like, man, I want to take a day. I don't want to talk about aviation. And I have to implement those boundaries myself. And it's just much harder. So,
Well,
yeah.
currently, I'm like, as an RI, it's like, especially when they're in the field and stuff, like,
Yeah.
it's not that I don't want to look at it because it's not that I have the group chat muted, but I have it muted.
I have it muted too. I'm
Like,
still in that group chat, by the way. Like 3 or 4 of them between WhatsApp, Signal, and like Group Me and all that shit. And I'm just like, guys, come on. Like
well,
I'm
it's because of encryption and stuff.
Yeah, I
Like,
get I get
or,
that. I'm
or
glad they narrowed it down. They figured it the fuck out. But still, it's like there's so many group chats. And then every time I fly, we have to make a new group chat for that crew and what's going on that day. So I have a daily one that gets created every fucking time I fly. And I hate it. I'm like, oh,
my unit, like, once it gets unprofessional and stuff, and I'm
true,
like,
true. I have done
once
that.
I'm
Yeah.
like, look, there's the crazy thing about social media and the military and their policies, and a lot of people do not know this, but it encapsulates all social media. So your text messages, the group chats, all that, whatever you comment on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever you comment, even if it's WhatsApp, Group Me, Signal, that is considered social media.
That's a good point.
And you can get in trouble for that. And I know from personal experiences back in like Hawaii time frame where I was put under UCMJ action for talking back to someone of my same rank, saying like, "Hey, don't want to go. I'm not trying to go to this range right now because I have Disney breakfast and then I'm on pass. Not gonna do it." And then they're like, "Hey, you're being disrespectful to a senior non-commissioned officer." And I'm like, we're the same rank, dude. If anything, I'm more qualified in the eyes of the Army to be in that position. I
Mhm.
just got here. Give me 3 months. I'll take his fucking job."
Yep.
But that dude's a
They don't want to
pilot
hear
now.
it.
That dude's a pilot, so he took my fucking job, right? That dude was actually super qualified, and it meant no disrespect to him. But I was just like, "Hey, look, I don't know. I don't think you understand how Alani Disney breakfast works in Hawaii. It's expensive and it's a 3-month wait. And I have my family here from New York City. I'm
And you
not.
had an approved pass.
I
Like,
had an approved pass.
so
Yeah,
sorry,
and you're like, hey, I'll work around it, and they're like, no, you need to do this now. I was like, look here, sir.
That's
Look
crazy.
here, sir. I am not doing that, man. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I did
I
it
hate
your
that. They
way.
should have
I
protected your time.
I did it your way. No, but that's the great thing about regulations.
Yeah.
And regardless of your rank, it works both ways.
Yeah.
And if you are knowledgeable about regulations and rules, it can be your best weapon against an
Yeah.
unknowledgeable leader.
That's exactly how my job operates. Like you have to know your pubs and regs and everything that could command that helicopter. So a lot of people in my specific profession, they think they know what it reads, but they regurgitate it so well that people think that that's gospel,
From someone who never
but
read the
but
regulation.
they're not reading it correctly. And then they don't like to be corrected. I'm like, "Hey man, that's not what it says." And then like everything that I do and I recommend, I always back it up with, "Hey, this is where it's referenced."
Have you talked about what's next?
What's next? No. So what do you mean?
Do you like what are your next goals? Like your
I haven't yet.
your short term or your long term
I
goals?
haven't even told you yet what I want to do. Well, kind of. I did want to do some things, but I guess I could start. Like, I did want to recap because it's been a few weeks since I've posted an episode, and I do owe my audience that. I've been going through a lot in my life and a lot of turmoil, and I just recently had surgery on my wrist. But my short term goals, while I've been stationed here, I'm in the heart of where all these schools are, like the Army schools, Air Assault, Pathfinder, Airborne, Ranger School, even like the Army's Recon course, all those cool courses. I decided I was like, you know what? After my surgery, I want to go to Air Assault, and then I want to go immediately into airborne, and then
Get that
immediately
chest candy.
and then
Get that
immediately
chest
into
candy.
Pathfinder. And so this is kind of like
Oof.
unheard of
Oof.
for a pilot to say these things, because one, in any other unit, it's just really hard to make that argument as to why I need to go to that school. Why do I need to go to school? I don't need it for my job, right? In my eyes, if you look at the customers and why aviation exists, is to support the ground commander, right? And to be and to maximize their manpower, I guess, or like what is it? Force multiply. There you go.
Mhm.
Those really great Army terms. I believe that those schools and understanding my customers and their objectives and what they do would make me a better pilot. And then at the end of it, the clout. It's like the ultimate Sky Mommy. How many set of wings can I put on my chest? Like
It's not that side. You need to worry about the other
the
side.
other
Those
side.
foreign jump
The foreign jump wings. So
wings.
that was another thing too. I was like, oh shoot, the toy drop that the brigade puts on,
Mhm.
that happens here. And I was like, that would be an opportunity. And I talked to my first sergeant. He was like, I'm all for this. Like, you should do that. And you should get your foreign wings. So I am still like, now that I'm just about nearly recovered, but good enough to be back on flight status. I'm flying, making money for the company. I am um
What do you mean by making money for the company?
like by being a down pilot, you always feel like guilty that you're not flying, and we were short pilots for a minute, like
You have like residual guilt.
yeah, that I'm not like, I need to get back up, like I need it, like I don't feel like I have that job, like that self-worth, because I'm
But let
a,
me
a
let me tell
pilot
you,
that's
you
grounded.
have like injuries happen,
Yeah, and it's just part of the job.
and then the worst thing that we do in the military as like a whole is like, oh, I can't let my boys down. I can't let them take
Yes,
my slack or anything.
yes, and that's what I felt, and that's
The weight
where
goes in my rucksack.
yeah, and that's how I felt going through this recovery. And my doctors, both of them, I had a occupational therapist and I had my flight surgeon, and the flight surgeon has the ultimate say. They both pulled the reins on me. They were like, look, 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 look. Like, I was hitting hard. I'm really strong. So I was hitting hard on my recovery exercises. And I was like, guys, I want to get up. Doc, I want to get up. They're like, no, no, I don't trust you. You're going to make it worse. I need to choke up a little bit, and you like give it a couple more
The
weeks.
the professionals.
Yeah, and I was like, "Absolutely." And they're like, "Honestly, you're the good problem to have, because a lot of people don't even do their exercises. So we're really proud of you for being so strong, but you're progressing way too quickly. Like, we're not there yet.
Yeah,
I won't
you're gonna
release." Yeah.
you're gonna about to get back into injury.
Yes, and then of course the nature of my job is very very serious, so it's like they want to make sure 100%, are you 100% to do this, command this helicopter, respond to emergency procedures, things like that, which I highly recommend that I had like that vibe check, that pulse check, like, hey, okay, hold on, you're right, I do need to take a step back, I'm not 100% healed, I just want to get after these goals, I don't want to like let my brothers and sisters down. But ultimately, I did get cleared. I did get back on flight status, and I've been flying. It feels amazing to be back in the cockpit.
I
Um,
bet it does.
yeah, and then I did a ACFT, and I scored really well considering I just had surgery a few weeks ago. And I was like, wow, like this is pretty cool. Like, I'm right where I want to be. And then I told my first sergeant commander I still want to go to airborne school. So I should be able to do that if I have the opportunity to walk on in November. I don't think you'll be here for this one, but it would be awesome.
No, I thought you were gonna be at this one right
Yeah, I
now.
thought
Yeah.
so too. But the reason
But that's
was,
I mean, your recovery is so quick.
yeah,
So
it was so quick, but it felt like forever, and not being in the gym that long, like I didn't realize that the wrist
oh, you're
surgery.
talking to an expert here of
Yeah.
like recovering from surgeries. Yes.
Yeah, and so I'm looking forward to that. I hope to get my wings. I'm so nervous about it, but I'm like, you know what? This is going to be good. And I talked to my flight surgeon. He was like, you know what? I approve of this. I'm gonna sign you off as good. He's like, because I do think that there are some benefits to this to make you a better pilot, because then you understand the mission. And I mean, I'm a pilot of paradrop operations, right? So I'm over here like studying, because that's who I am. Like I told you, I'm really strict about the regs and studying and being really good at my job. And I found like a manual about airborne operations, and I've just been reading it. I probably don't need to, but I want to understand and be more effectual at my job. And I just want to succeed. So I flew medevac the majority of my career, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm in an assault company. So the culture is very different, even in the same type of helicopter, right? So
But the UH-60 is just so
it's so
diverse.
versatile and diverse. And I love the missions that I do know. I love working with Rangers. I love working with 75th. Like, I love working with these amazing customers, I guess. And I'm doing all these amazing, cool
Sponsored by
missions,
Delta
amazing,
Airlines. Like,
amazing missions. And that's what makes this job so cool because I'm in a spot in a brigade that supports these kind of missions. I have a lot of different types of mission sets within this one specific unit that a lot of aviation units don't have. It's like, yes, we have this capability, but a lot of aviation units don't do helocast, they don't do fries, they don't do spies, they don't do these really cool things on a regular basis, right?
yeah.
And to have that experience and diversify my resume, I'm doing some cool helicopter shit. And I
Let me
love
ask you a
it.
question. How
Sure.
many? Let's go big picture. How
Okay.
many UH-60 pilots have there been?
I don't know.
Probably a lot, right?
Yeah.
How many UH-60 pilots are now?
Not as much as there used to be. They're all getting
And
out.
then how many of those get to do what you do?
Very few.
Damn, you're a fucking unicorn.
Yeah, I
You're a
mean,
unicorn.
and what's so
It,
crazy is that
like how?
nobody knows that this opportunity exists. And that's why I talked to the decision makers. They were like,
You know,
how,
the Secretary of the
yeah,
Army should hear about this
yeah,
because
because it's
she's a
like,
female, right?
I
Last
don't,
time I
yeah.
checked, the Secretary of the Army is a female.
And what's so crazy is that we have this pilot shortage, and specifically for this unit, we were really short pilots last summer. That's how I got this job. They didn't have any maintenance test pilots on their docket, and they were like, "Hey, we need you. Can you move?" And I was like, "Absolutely. I'd love to make this a permanent assignment." And they moved me out of
It's
cycle
crazy because
to
you went
get me
from
here.
6 to like,
So I wasn't assigned to 6. I was assigned to Fort Novacell. I was working for Flatiron. Flatiron supports 6
mm,
RTB for real world medevac and training for Ranger School at Florida Phase. They
mm-hmm.
do 11 rotations a year, 17-day rotations, and we provide that medical immediate response for the full 17 days while they're in Florida Phase. And that looks like an amazing TDY. So like you're hanging out as far as my
in
perspective,
Destin, Florida.
you're hanging out in Destin, Florida. Like we had an
AJ's.
yep, hour recall. So it's like on my off duty days, I'm still on call. I have an hour recall. I can literally be pulling second up duties with my butt in the sand on Destin Beach. Like as long as I can get back and I have cell phone coverage and I can get back within an hour in case anything happens, I'm there to help respond.
There wasn't a lot of like negativity towards you, if any whatsoever, that I personally heard of.
I've got some really great feedback from your leaders there, and I've worked with 2 battalion commanders while I had my tenure in Flatiron, and under the Taken call sign, I was Taken 6-9. I've
Did
met.
you choose that?
I chose that. I
Wait,
had to keep it
wait.
alive, brother.
There is a thing. There is a thing where you get to choose
Yeah,
like
so
a
I
fun.
chose my number. So we were assigned Taken, right?
Yeah.
So we get to choose our number. It's usually based off position, and like MTO and like how the unit is broken down. So they have specific position and a number associated with that per the Army like aviation handbook. And my commanders were just really
Unique
cool.
number, right?
My commanders were just really cool, and they were like, you know what, Marisa, you can have that number. And I said, absolutely. I think a girl should have this number because it's so freaking cool. And like the guys just think it's so funny. It's like, nice, 69, nice.
Yeah.
And I wanted that to live on because I didn't want it to be awkward. I didn't want people to be too PC. I just want people to have a good time and like say, hey, oh, that's a cool ass call sign. And that
It's like an inside joke because
it is. It is an inside joke.
the
Like
crazy thing is like the
I gotta
students
take my wins where I can, as a girl, you gotta do what you gotta do.
and the students never knew about that. They just knew as you as Taken,
Take
but
it.
like everybody
Yeah.
else is like Taken 6-9,
6-9
bro.
every time. But the thing is, though, I got amazing feedback from your leaders and a lot of your RIs and a lot of your brothers and now sisters that work there. And sister, we only have one, which is so
which is
exciting.
fucking crazy,
That
right?
is so cool.
So the crazy thing about 6RTV is like, and like just deep diving into like the history of 6RTB
Yeah.
is like they were the first Ranger Training Battalion to have the first African American instructor,
Dope.
and then the first female instructor.
That is cool, man. They
Regardless
gotta
of how you
they
feel
gotta
about
keep that legacy, man.
like you are.
And what I love about so I've worked in now I'm working for all 3 phases of Ranger School. So I'm here stationed where Darby phase begins, right? I've worked in like my unit covers mountain phase as well. So the medevac covers for real world medevac, similar to what I did at Taken. And then we provide the assault training for mountain phase. So there's a lot of air assault, paradrops, things like that, and air movements that my unit flies up there for TDY for maybe 1 or 2 days. and then we fly back. And then I've also worked for 6 RTB. So there's a lot of differences in like the level of experience between like the students. And I don't want to get too into that because I don't know what PAO will have me not talk about, but
Are
it's
you
just,
saying it's a PAO?
huh? Yeah. So like we can't really like talk about or like post pictures of students and their progression and everything, but I have
But you
noticed,
can take it behind the heads,
yes. So
and
like,
that's our fault.
yeah,
Wait,
that's your fault.
cut this
Anyway,
out.
no, 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 no. We don't have to talk about that. But anyway, what I have noticed is that like the types of RIs that are here is different than the level of experience that is down at 6.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
historically, usually 6 is like
yeah.
the
The more
sergeant first
seniors, the
class.
sergeant first class.
The
So
post the
I was,
post platoon
yeah,
sergeants.
and post triple C captains, things like that, or post KD captains. So you
Yeah.
have a lot of experience at 6 RTB, which is great because you're getting that last minute advanced level tactics while you're teaching these students and producing these leaders. And I mean, this is
The teaching part is a personal
add on, right?
like for me it's like this is the final phase, so we should be evaluating
Oh,
everything
okay.
that we've
Everything
learned
that
out.
comes to like
Yeah,
a
but I
culmination.
understand that there should be some teaching as well because the
I remember like the first couple days just sitting in those bubs and those meetings and
well no
briefing to the
the
commander, like
dynamics
I
of
had to reteach him this and blah, 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 like how to set a patrol
not really
list.
really
Not
reteaching
really.
because the fourth and fifth RTB RIs do a
Mhm.
great job on
Setting the
teaching.
foundation.
Yeah, we are just we are just dotting the I's
You're
and
just fine
slashing
tuning,
the T's.
finessing. Okay.
Yeah, and not in my personal opinion, like it doesn't really matter, like how I see like we're adding more stuff. Like it doesn't, like me at the personal level, does not matter. But because the dynamics of war are always changing and always shifting, like the Lisco environment of
Oh yeah.
large scale
Tactical and
combat and operations, they're always changing. So introducing the drones and like UAS and stuff, like I understand that makes sense. That makes sense
mhm.
to me, and I think Ranger School should be evolving.
Yeah.
The only problem is while it's evolving, it's going through its growing pains, and
Yeah.
that's
That's anywhere. In
understandable.
any organization they have that.
Yeah, but on the outside world looking in, it's not seem like that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't shared this publicly, but I joined the Army specifically to apply for special operations, right? And the only special operations I knew about was the 160th SOAR Airborne, right?
Hell yeah.
So I mean, Black Hawk Down is based off of that mission, one of their missions. Um,
You already
there's,
know how I feel about
I
Black
already
Hawk
know we're
Down.
not going to get into that,
Mhm.
but I want to make this relatable to anyone listening. Is that that movie is about the Night Stalkers, right?
Mhm.
Majority of it is. And
160.
there's a couple of books called Night Stalker. They're written by a couple authors. Roberts Ridge is another one. I read every single Night Stalker book I can get my hands on. And I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna join the Army, I'm gonna go big. I'm gonna find the most elite position I could find. I want to be among hard hitters. I want to be among people who can teach me and make me better, mold me into a great pilot. And I want to serve my country at the highest levels. At that point, as a civilian, that's what I thought the highest level was the 160th. And I joined and I said, I'm going to apply. I made it known throughout my career at different levels once I was comfortable with who I was under. I was like, hey, sir, I'd really like to apply for the 160th. Would you be willing to support me? I've had a lot of people say, oh, nah, you need to do this, you need to do that. A lot of people that didn't even apply were trying to disqualify me and
It's
not let me
crazy, right?
go.
It's crazy.
And I
Like
said, you know what? I'm going to do it because why disqualify myself by not even trying, right? Not even putting in an application. So I trained up hard. I studied hard. I flew hard. I took opportunities at 6 RTB and I did like a joint mission where I planned an air assault. Medevac does not do air assaults. We don't do time on targets. We are a Medevac platform. We fly from A to B. Like, hey, we get the call, we go from here to here, get the patient, go to the hospital. That's it, right? End of mission. And I pushed forward to get a joint exercise between 6 RTB and Taken. And I planned an air assault based off of like the student movements, things like that through Florida phase. And I created the first ever like air assault planning and planning cell and everything and got like S3 involved, things like that. Got battalion involved. Battalion commander sat there and allowed us to do our briefs, our air mission briefs and things like that. So I drove a lot of this based off of my own personal goals, but I was trying really hard to get people involved and make people better at operations and piloting because it is part of our job. As medevac pilots, especially warrants, we could be plugged and played in any Black Hawk mission. So you don't necessarily you can't necessarily guarantee medevac your whole career. So you have to stay sharp on these types of techniques. So I applied. I got invited to assess, and it's a week-long assessment. And I try to stay open-minded because there's a lot of intel that you can get from people. A lot of people try to say, hey, I went through it. This is what you can expect. This is what you need to prepare for. But they put you through a lot of stress, a lot of time hacks that are impossible to meet. So a lot of things you're going to have to prioritize. Some things fall off the table, and it's kind of impossible to get everything done in a short amount of time. You're planning missions, you're doing physical assessments, mental assessments, things like that. And I try to stay an open mind. I was like, this is such a great experience that I'm here. I'm literally flying a Night Stalker helicopter. Like, who gets this opportunity? And I'm like, wow, this is so great. I'm assigned an instructor. I'm assigned crew chiefs that are evaluating me, right? They're not my friend at this point. I don't have any feedback from them, but I'm over here like, okay, cool. I hit my first target, plus or minus the standard. I can't remember the standard, what I made it in as far as timing, but I found my first point. That was the success in itself because we blew right past it. And just like land nav, you have your backstops, right? And I was like, shoot, I just hit my backstop for that point. I was like, I need you to turn around. The pilot starts turning around, and I was like, no, I need you to continue to turn around like 180 degrees. Found my first point. He's like, how the hell did you find your first point? I was like, I don't know, but we got to keep going. I got another point, And then like halfway through that, I was so tired. I forgot that I was flying. I was so tired, man. And it all comes to an end with a final board interview. And that board interview it's probably the hardest part of the whole selection, right? They just pick you apart. And a lot of it, I felt like I was a zombie for because I was so tired. I don't even know what came out of my mouth sometimes, but I was like, you know what? I just sat there at attention, answered the questions, and they said, hey, we're not going to hire you right now. And I said, okay, sir. They gave me some feedback. Whether or not I agreed with it, they said, we'd like to invite you back in a year. Go to Fort Moore, get experience, because they knew that if I didn't get selected, I would be going immediately to Fort Moore. I said, go get experience, come back in a year. And I said, yes, sir, I'll see you in a year. And then I left. Don't fucking...
Fuck you.
No, did you just start crying?
Yeah. That's fucking motivational as fuck. What the fuck you want?
I've never shared this outside my immediate friend group because it was
fucking motivational,
dude. It was an experience, right? It was part of it was what I expected it to be. And I said, you know what?
Dude, I'm proud of you.
The president of the board looked at me and said, hey, look, I'm proud of you for being here because some people they quit before they even start. They don't even sit in that chair. And it reminded me of the Teddy Roosevelt speech, The Man in the Arena. And I think we talked about this just in this episode alone, is that I had the courage to try and the courage to fail. Like I sat in that arena and I failed, but I had the courage to do it. Whereas a lot of people don't even try.
No, they don't.
And that is what I'm proud of because I set this hard goal before I became a pilot, before I joined the Army. And I said, I'm going to apply and I'm going to assess. And what did I do? I applied and I assessed. Whether or not I decide to go back, because it's been over a year, I did what I came here to do, right? So
you should be proud of yourself.
And I really am, because that's impressive. And so like when you hit that hard goal and you fail, right? You have to go back to your unit and everyone's like, how'd you do? How'd it go? And I didn't want to like have my tail tucked. I didn't want to have my head down. I was like, you know what? I had a good time. I did. I mean, it took me a few months to process what had happened because, like you only know, like you can only share that experience with people who've gone through it. Right. And it's like, wait a second, you're replaying this, you're having your shower arguments. You're like, I should have said this. I should have done this, and the instructor that was assigned to me was like, hey, I have some feedback for you. Whenever you're ready, call me. We'll set up a time and I'll give you some feedback. He gave me amazing constructive feedback from little details of like, hey, this is what I was really impressed by. This is what I like suggest you work on. Here's some techniques to accomplish that. Some amazing feedback. And I was like, you know what? He didn't owe that time to me. He didn't owe that feedback to me. And I was like, that meant so much to me because he spent the majority of the time with me. And I was like, hey, what was your perception of me through the board? He's like, you conducted yourself really well. He's like, I think they're right. You just need a little bit more experience. And he was like, this is how you get after it. And I was like, absolutely. Thank you so much. Because I was like, wow, they actually saw the real me under pressure. Like, they know you're stressed out. They know you're tired. They know that there's no way to meet those goals. They know they're going to pick you apart. And I didn't know what I didn't know. And I realized it uncovered that in my specific position in Taken, we were in such a small unit that I didn't have experience working outside of like this silo. I worked in a silo. I didn't have like the experience of working with like S3, S2, and other planning cells. I didn't have that because I was majority medevac my career. So I was like, you know what? They're right. I need a little bit more broadening experience as a pilot. And that's why I asked when I came to Fort Moore, I was like, hey, I'm 100% live and breathe the medevac mission. Like, when I have your wounded speaks to me, I want to be there and I want to save my brothers and sisters. I was like, but please, I would love to expand my resume and be a better pilot and bring and make myself more marketable. Do you have a spot for me in the assault? And they were like, yeah, we'll make that work. And I'm enjoying that too. Cause now I see I get to test like power limitations. I get to like be honed in as a professional. I get to work with the S3s and the planning cells, and I get to work with unconventional missions. And I absolutely love that. So like I said, this is the first time I've actually shared this publicly that I tried and I failed. And it's
Dude, that's
okay.
so
It's
awesome though.
okay
That
because
is so awesome
I've
because
taken,
you shot for that that long
yes.
distance goal and you still accomplished so much more than like anyone else can imagine, you know what I'm saying?
And it
And
opened
that
it
should
opened
you
my
should be
eyes.
so proud of that.
I am. And you know what makes me really proud is that one of the things that they were concerned about was the commercial I did for the Army. It was a recruitment commercial. And I don't know if you've seen it. I'll show it to you later. But it amassed over 1 million views on all platforms it was posted to. And it's very special to me because this production team, whom I still like keep in touch with, they're amazing people, and they wanted to showcase me. And the director told me, she's like, "Hey, you are a badass." And this is before selection. They were like, she's like, "You're a badass, and I want to capture that for you. I want you to be yourself and just show me what you do." And she captured me in such a way that I was like, oh my God, like she didn't make me feel like everything I said on there was my words. Nothing was scripted. She just asked me, what is your story? And she's like, I want to capture that. And they did such an amazing job. And the beautiful part of that is that it has connected me to so many people, so many women, so many men who are like, hey, I want to do what you're doing. How do I do it? Hey, I need a mentor. I don't have a female mentor. Can you be my mentor?
Dude, doesn't that
I
suck though?
didn't
Like you're
have.
breaking through barriers, you know?
Yes. Yeah, I do feel the weight of that. And what I was mentioning before that is important to me is that Army commercial that they did, the recruitment commercial, it put me in touch with people that needed to hear my story, right? And that means so much to me because I didn't have mentors growing up in this community. And I want to be that for other people. I want to be able to help people so they don't have to go through what I had to go through
Or surpass you.
or
That's
yeah,
right.
like
You
in,
want people to be
you
like,
want
"Hey,
people to
this
be
is the
better.
baseline,
Yeah.
and I want you to surpass me." And
Yeah.
that's and like again, you being an individual that's is breaking barriers or spearheading this movement of like individuals, just like, "Hey, I'm unique in this position and this job. I'm gonna break barriers." Like
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be because you're a female. It could be
No, it's
because
because
like multiple things.
I just want to do really good hard work, and positively impact the lives of others. And at the baseline, the opportunity came along, and I'm able to do that through social media now. And that was something that I had to really think long and hard about because I kept my social media under wraps, I thought, prior to selection and assessment. And that was something that they brought up like, hey, no, this is a concern of ours because now you're associated with the military because of this commercial. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of that happened was the commercial, right? It surpassed, surpassed so many views, so it associated me in the Army as a pilot, right? And for our operational security, that could be a risk, right? And so I understood that feedback. I was like, you know what? That's pretty black and white. I understand. They said, if you come back, you're going to have to get rid of it. And I thought long and hard. I talked to that public affairs office in DC and their representatives, and they said, look, You deserve to be in that community. We will take it down. We'll give you the hard copy so you have it for you and your family if that's something you choose to do." And I said, "Thank you so much. Can I have a couple days to think about it? Because what's important to me is the legacy that I'm leaving behind, and being able to get in touch with these people who need to talk to me and want to be in our military and want to be in these jobs." I mean, that was the whole purpose of that video, right? Was to be that mentor for people that I never had. And a lot of my sisters in the skies, a lot of my other women aviator friends always like to say, "Look, I didn't have any mentors that look like me." And I feel like that's important. Like you said, we're breaking barriers. And all of my mentors are men. And I'm not saying that men make bad mentors, because they have influenced my career in a really great way.
Out of those men, though, like how
Yeah,
many of them can you relate to culturally? Like they are the same
not many,
ethnicity.
not many.
So you're breaking
Actually,
barriers in
yeah,
that aspect as well. So
yeah,
like you are like you have to understand the more variables you take in, the
yeah,
more unique you are. And
yeah.
like it's not that many steps that makes you so special because you're like Hispanic female, Hispanic, or just pilot.
Mm-hmm.
Then you break it
Helicopter
to
pilot.
helicopter pilot with actual time
Yeah.
behind, like thousands of 1,000+ hours,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then male or female of your ethnicity,
Yeah.
that should just
There are
fucking
very
go.
few Panamanian American helicopter pilots. You know what I mean? Like, so I am grateful to know one. He is an
You know,
Apache
if like
pilot.
the Panamanian like culture like
Yeah.
figured out and found out like how much like they would just like put you on their like shoulders and just like
I'd
raise you
be
up
I'd be
like
all for it, like, hey, I'm proud of where I come from. But yeah, so that was something that I thought about long and hard. I was like, I took the feedback seriously, and I thought about where I want my career to go, and I saw what I really value. And I see this as an arena to really connect with people who deserve to be in these jobs, in these positions. And I want to make sure that I'm training the next generation of pilots as well, because now I'm in a
to
position
surpass you.
to surpass me, because my time in the service is going to come to an end, as anybody's time in the service
Yeah.
comes to an end. We should not be gatekeepers. The knowledge should not leave the Army with me.
God,
And
thank you. Mention that again.
what I see in my community is that all of those CW4s and 5s, and even the 3s that have 4 to 5,000 hours worth of experience that are getting out of the Army, all of their knowledge went with them. They didn't leave it behind. They just said, "F this, I'm out," or "Hey, I'm retiring, it's not my problem." Whatever their reasons were, cool. They had their lives to
And they
live,
have the opportunity
but they
through
had the
social media.
opportunity to mentor, and they didn't. I asked for mentorship left and right. I said, "Hey, can you help me? Hey, can you train me?" They said, "Figure it the fuck out. Why are you asking me
That's
questions?"
such an army
And
answer.
they said, "Why are you asking me questions?" And that was something that was given to me in a formal feedback was, "Hey, you don't ask enough questions." And I was like, man, I wish I would have like let them know I wasn't allowed to ask questions growing up in Army aviation. I wasn't allowed to. I was supposed to figure it out. I don't know what I don't know. How am I supposed to ask questions if I don't know? And then the people I'm going to ask questions, I started thinking about it. I was like, wow, maybe they don't know the answer. Because once I started reading and studying and seeing other experiences, I was like, you know what? I'm going to attack this the way I think is best, right? Because I don't come to work thinking I'm going to fail. Like I don't come to work to be a shitbag. I want to be the best at what I do and make sure that I'm a team player. And when I see those instructors or those immediate leaders, first line trainers telling me, "Don't come in my office until you figure it out," like that's not the culture I thought I was walking into.
No, it should be like
It
more,
should be
hey, come with me. Let's figure it out
yeah, and
together.
and as warrant officers, we should be able to do that. But what I've seen in my immediate experience, at least the first few years of my career, they box each other out. They eat their own. It's like a dog eat dog world. And I'm like, I thought I was among hard hitters, people who wanted to be better, people who wanted to give back to the culture and make it better. But no, they were just perpetuating the toxicity and the counterproductive culture. And I'm like, that's not it. My peers and I were upset. We're frustrated because our voices were never heard. And we're trying to make things better. And it's not that we're trying to get softer and make things easier. It's like, no, no, no. We
I hate that
we
term.
know
I hate that
we
term.
know that doesn't work, because you're
Yeah.
not making good aviators that way,
It's not that
and
it's softer. It's not.
it's
It's
more
a,
effective.
it's more. It's efficiency and then lethality. Like
Yeah, and then you mentioned too, like our tactics are changing.
yeah,
So we should change the way we approach teaching and mentorship and leading. Like And we should be able to do that in all of our fields. And so that was my struggle coming into the Army and begging for mentorship. And when I was given that feedback in that formal setting, like, hey, you don't ask enough questions, they uncovered the fact that I just didn't have the right mentorship. So they were like, hey, um, when you do come back for assessment, make sure you get some mentors. And I was
You
like,
should write a book.
oh, that is one of my goals. So we talked about goals. I
Okay.
did mention I want to write a smut book, right? But this right here, this podcast is kind of the creative outlet to writing that book, like writing that story or telling my story, right? So now I'm giving more of an experience through like the visual, the audio, and like you get to hear me actually tell my story. And I also want to capture my guest story
You
too.
don't. The crazy thing though, it's like you don't know how just this podcast alone or this episode of your podcast will affect the next 5, 10, 15 years.
I mean, I don't know. And
And
I,
in a positive way. It like I don't see it as a negative, like where it's like, oh, I'm exposing myself. I am explaining like, hey, look, you, me, I can relate. I have shortcomings that I need to go through,
yeah.
but I am like that person that will pull you through because you don't need to go through this.
Yes. And I'm not saying like I'm perfect or I'm the best
Fuck
leader,
you. Who the
but
fuck?
I'm going to fucking try. You know, I'm going
So
to
my
try
mother
so
always told
hard
me my mother's favorite
and I'm not going to
term.
quit, you know, like,
My mother's favorite term was even Mother Teresa had haters. There was a great like
yes.
then you had Oscar like the Univision guy where he was just like "Pa todo, todo, pa, pa." You know, the
Mhm.
guy who's just always saying like the horoscope and stuff. And like I
Mhm.
remember growing up in the early 2000s and it's like Mother Teresa had a group of women who hated her guts.
Mhm.
Like, oh, she shouldn't be a saint. But she's recognized as a saint.
Mhm.
Like the that ideology stayed with me for so long because like it's a Spanish thing.
Mhm.
You're breaking like she's doing her thing. She doesn't care about external factors whatsoever.
Mhm.
She's like, I have a goal. I'm going to reach it. If I don't reach it, I will pull the person who needs to
Yes,
do
and
it.
that's what I want. Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I want, and that's how I
I'm not
see
saying that
it.
you're like the Mother
I'm
Teresa
not,
of this
yeah, and by no means am
Sky
I like
Teresa. You
no, 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 no. No, there's some other women that deserve that title, but for
who'd
what
you name drop?
so I have some
Who are
amazing
your mentors?
my
Like,
mentors are actually so what I believe about mentorship is it can come from all angles. It doesn't
no,
have to come from
absolutely.
above you, right? It comes
No,
from left and
yeah.
right, sometimes even
It
below
could be
you.
even your
Be it
kids.
be anybody.
Yeah.
So like who pulled me through this as women and mentors and leaders who like understood what I was going through and like and picked up the
Or saw your
and
potential and be like, "Hey, look,
picked up
let
my
me."
pieces, right?
Mhm.
Allowed me to cry through it. Like it got to the point
And
where
it didn't
like
discourage you.
didn't discourage me. But I've also have these women and some of these men have been in the same position as me, right? So there are pilots. So I'm gonna name drop a few. I got Captain Casey Tyra, one of my best friends. She and I went through flight school together, and if it wasn't for having each other, we probably wouldn't survive this job, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I mean that in a very serious way because she went through a lot of the same adversity, very similar experiences, and even as an O grade, right? And she took command very early on in her career and had a lot of challenges in her unit. Um, Captain Laura Thompson. So Laura Thompson, I had on my last episode. She's a registered dietitian for the Army, but she and I met in college, and we've been best friends ever since. But being able to lean on her and get her perspective. I have an Apache pilot who's also Panamanian, Charlie Soto. He actually was one of the very few men that could relate to my experience because he and I had a very similar upbringing in aviation where we were ostracized. We weren't understood. Being
Didn't fit the
Panamanian,
mold.
yeah, we didn't fit the mold. You know, they could not relate to us. People couldn't relate to us. And we struggled so hard, like pushing, pushing, pushing. I mean, there are many times where we confided on each other on the phone and like it was hard to get through what we went through and we pulled each other up and we have a lot of admiration and respect for each other. And that's really like a beautiful thing to be able to lean on these people, right? I have another friend. I'm not going to name her
But
name because of her anonymity, but
okay, so how about outside the military, like
I was
who?
just getting there.
Okay,
So I have another one. I'm not going to name her name because of the nature of her job, but she probably single-handedly saved my career. Like she talked me through a lot of different things, and um, I said I needed something. And the next thing I know, I never met this woman before. I met her through an ex-boyfriend. We dated the same guy. Um, and it was so crazy. It's so crazy. Like he was like, "Hey, I need you like you're going through this. I know a pilot. I know a helicopter pilot on the civilian side. I think she can help you." And I got in touch with her and we talked on the phone and she's like, "Baby girl, I will help you." The next day
That's the stars aligning,
she
dude. That's like
overnighted what I needed, right? And she saved my career. Like it was literally like that moment. I was like, "Oh my God, the influence that she had over the span of my career." Like I probably wouldn't be in the army, right? And I'm just
But
like,
isn't
"Wow."
that how crazy the universe works sometimes?
Yes, and
Oh my
she and I are
god.
still tight to this day. And I absolutely love like the people in my life. And when we talk about like our family and generational curses, you go to your family for your first line of unconditional love and support. And sometimes,
That should be the name of this pod. This episode,
yeah,
generational curses.
okay. But you go to them for your first line of unconditional love and support. But sometimes your family falls short of that, right? Because
Because
they don't understand what you're going through or whatever, whatever.
or
And
it's
or they
they can't
let you
relate to it.
down.
It's
They
like, hey,
can't relate
I've done
or
worse. Why can't you do it?
yeah, for whatever reason. And then you meet people along the way in these journeys and this adversity and this trauma that you go through. And those people become your chosen family and they treat you with so much love and unconditional
Unconditional.
support.
Yes.
Unconditional support. And it's like no
They have
matter what, no
what they are.
judgment.
No, whatever, like past things you've done, like clean state. I love
Yes.
you for who you are. I'm here to support you.
Yes. And I have these
God, it's so
amazing
unique,
people and
so rare.
I try so hard to give them tribute and give them love. Even on my social media, I include them in my videos. I'm like, wow, anytime they share something, I try to repost it or engage with it because I'm like, these people deserve all the love I can give them. Right. So I know that love is possible. So whenever I'm like down in the dumps, I'm like, you know what, I can call this the support system. And I've met incredible people along the way, civilian, military. I mean, just amazing, amazing people. And I would say they have influenced my life in a very positive and impactful way. And like, even though I don't have like many direct mentors that have been able to like plug me along the way in my path and my journey, I have a couple of like really great mentors who tell me how it is, but they also understand their limitations of perspective. But I have this incredible like support system that like they just,
That's so
yeah,
hard to find nowadays too.
and it's so important. And then like let's say you're getting your
Judgment free. You know what I'm
judgment
saying?
free, and then too like I stress how important networking is, and you did too when you talked about getting the jobs that you got. It's so important because I was a
Yeah.
civilian for a long time. Networking is key. So if you want to benefit and have a support system, cool. But like imagine these amazing people saying your name in rooms that you're not present in order to get you an opportunity. You know what I mean? And like your reputation precedes you, your credibility precedes you, and just how you make people feel, right? Can make or break the opportunities that are ahead. And that can get you a job when you get out, or that can get you like the advisor role that I want, you know? So networking is key and just being a good person.
You didn't idolize like anyone growing up,
Mm-mm,
like Carlos Vives,
mm-mm.
la fruta de la fresa,
No.
fruta fresa. Okay, so what male like what event that you got to witness be like, holy shit, I am part of history, and it'd be like anything with like ARTB or something. It's like, hey, I am part of the first blah 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 that got to do blah blah blah. Not
Oh yeah. So a lot of
like what
so
makes you like if like there was like, hey, I did this, did this, but this makes me unique. Cause yeah, I always hear it on social media like,
yeah.
hey, you're just a ranger qualified instructor.
Yeah.
You're just
So
this and that,
I
and like
love
you're not fucking special. And like, and I get it. The whole Tyler
yeah,
Durden like Fight Club, like, hey, you are made of the same shit that
that
fucking
I'm
trash.
made of. Yeah.
No, no, no. You're made of trash.
Oh.
Carbon, nitrogen, the three big elements. We're all made of trash. We're
Mm.
not special. You don't need to go through, like, whatever you're going through, like, someone else has gone through. Like, yeah,
Oh,
that's a
yeah.
very negative way of thinking of it, but it's also that negativity of thinking that way can help you, motivate you to get through it. Like,
Yeah.
"Oh, pieces of shit have
So
made this through before
I
me.
have, I have, I
Good."
have said that before throughout flight schools. Like, I know some pieces of shit that got through this. Got it. So if they
So
can do
why
it,
the
I can do
what
it.
makes me fucking different from
Well,
these
no, no,
pieces of
not that
shit?
makes me different is that
Why
if
that
they
what makes
can,
them
yeah, what
yes.
makes them special? Like
Yeah.
if they can do it, I can do it. Like if these dumbasses can do it, I can do it. And they always say in flight school, we could teach a monkey to fly, so they're perpetuating that thought process too. And it's
Pretty
like,
racist, but okay.
okay, yeah, dude, oh my God. Yeah.
Oh,
But what
racism
you
and
said,
then
so what you said, the question to answer your question, in the army's existed for a long time. So there aren't many first things that happen in the army.
well, if you look deep enough, it does.
To answer your question, there are not many opportunities to develop something for the first time in the army, and I had the opportunity to do exactly that. So I was a
So you don't think
lead.
that it makes you
It makes me special,
like a like not like
and a subject matter expert now.
SME? Let's
Yeah.
go.
So, and that's the reason where I'm really the part of the job that I really love is that I was able to be a trailblazer and implement this program that is now a requirement for all units to include non-deployable aviation units in the Army. And it is a aviation maintenance training program, AMTP. Anyway, so the aviation maintenance training program directly affects the career progression of the enlisted maintainers, whether they're flyable or not. And I feel like it is exactly important for a force multiplier for our Army. So when they enlist or aircraft maintainers come to non deployable units, they're run by contract maintenance for the most part. So a lot of the Army green suiter maintainers don't get a lot of hands-on experience with maintenance. This program solves that. So it makes it legal for between the green suiters and the contractors to abide by the contract, but they have like a handshake agreement to be able to do aircraft training and maintenance and evaluations to get the proficiency, get the currency, and make these enlisted or these maintainers better at their job as crew chiefs, as maintainers. And so I had an amazing right hand NCO, maintenance NCO at the first unit I was in. So the program was developed for that battalion, which directly affected the Taken unit that I was in, that battalion, and as well as 6th Ranger Training Battalion, because we fly our aircraft down there, right? So anytime an aircraft breaks, our crew chiefs are supposed to be able to fix it to a standard by the work package, and then a technical inspector will inspect the work. And then in some cases, a maintenance test pilot like me will test and evaluate the aircraft and verify its airworthiness. So if an aircraft breaks at 6 RTB, that means we no longer have medevac coverage on at least one bird out of two,
Mhm.
right? So now we're half the coverage
You're a half coverage instead of dual coverage.
instead of dual coverage. And those are very high risk training days that you're posing a lot of downtime.
Based on historical data.
Yes, based off historical data, those have been determined as high risk training days.
Mhm.
And that's why we have dual ship coverage. If we lose an aircraft, it could take several hours to maybe a day or two to get an aircraft fixed because you have to wait on contract maintenance to get down there, whether they fly down there or drive down there. They have to approve overtime. They have to approve TDY for their maintainers. Whereas we have green suiters that are already there. They are TDY on assignment there. They could fix it. They could sign it off. They could test fly it, and they could be right back up,
And then you save money.
save money. And that was how I posed it. I ran all the numbers. Save downtime. That means where a problem may have taken 24 hours, I just cut it down to 2. So now your battalion commander is happy because it's like, wait, I have a 2-hour delay versus a 24-hour delay. I'll buy it every time, you know? And so now, like,
Especially on high risk days.
especially on high risk days, and that way they don't have to like subvert any training or do certain things where, and it's
Or
like,
just change the whole
or
medevac
change the
itself.
whole medevac or use ground transportation. Like, what if in a life-saving mission, like ground transportation is just not enough? And it's like, that's where it's important. That's why we need to have this training and proficiency and save the Army money. So because I was able to do that, and the maintenance NCO that I was working with was able to do that, I was asked to come here to 4th RTB to do exactly the same thing. They didn't have a program in place. I helped implement that program at the battalion level. And now this is affecting not only 4th Battalion, but it also has effects on 5th Battalion. So I was able to do that not once, but twice. And that's what makes me now very much a subject matter expert on the AMTP of the Army. So I actually enjoy that because now my crew chiefs are happy. They get to turn wrenches. That's what they join the Army to do. They get to feel like their job satisfaction. They're a little bit happier now leaving work. Some of them may not be because they come here and they chill and it's a non-deployable unit and they just want to not do anything. Sorry, you're still in the Army. You still have a job to do.
It's not one of those places where
Yeah.
you take a knee. Yeah.
No, it's not because we
Because
fly
it's
so
safe.
much.
Well, and the overall safety and of the
Yes.
schoolhouse.
Yes. And then too, like contract maintenance is not 100% perfect. And because it's a contract, it's an agreement between two entities. And if we're not doing our part of the contract, then we are in violation of that contract. So now I understand how to work with civilian entities, how to work with this contract, how to verify maintenance is done correctly and hold people to a standard. And so even though I'm not getting a lot of mentorship on the maintenance test pilot side, I'm getting a lot of experience in networking through civilian agencies and working with Sikorsky engineers and talking to those cool, important people.
All right,
So,
I'm gonna pause you right here. Would the younger you be proud of the you that you are currently?
dude, I'm gonna answer that with a hell yeah.
Yeah, right. Like
Hell
how
yeah.
badass. Like even
Yeah.
like I think like if my daughter like looked at you like in like so my daughter's in like 6, right?
Mhm.
Oh yeah, she just turned 6. But she's like she's at the age where she's capable to understand with like how badass is another female of Hispanic descent, a pilot that makes changes and differences at the brigade level or higher at
Mhm.
the whole aviation level of like changing doctrine.
Wow. Yeah. When you put it that way, like even
You are changing doctrine.
even my, yes, I have
That's the
written
black and white that you were
doctrine.
talking about in the beginning.
Yes, I have
You are
written
changing
doctrine.
doctrine.
And I have created SOPs that have never existed before. And I wrote it, by myself twice, and it's crazy.
If that doesn't sound like an MSN to me, I don't know.
They denied it. They denied it. And what's crazy is that I was like, if you're going to put an MSN for me, and they tried. Like my platoon leader was like, I'm going to fucking fight and try this. I was like, thank you so much. I was like, but if you're going to put it in for me, put it in for my NCO as well, because he and I worked hand in hand on this. Like he was there and he pushed forward the effort.
You know what
And
the crazy thing is, like it doesn't even say in the regulation that it ranks him a requirement.
And that's the excuse they use. They deleted.
Yeah,
they
it's
made him
always-
delete it, and they made him resubmit it. And I got an AAM.
He's only a staff sergeant.
Yeah, he was only a sergeant.
Oh,
And what's crazy is that my maintenance NCOs are E5s. They are the most hardworking, like subject matter experts in maintenance, and they have so much more experience than I do in maintenance. So I lean on them heavily because this is their program. I'm not even supposed to manage this program. I'm just giving this program a voice and an engine to start and get past the finish line. And then they take it and they're supposed to manage their personnel and train their sergeant's time training. That's what that looks like in the aviation world. And that's what I'm trying to make sure happens. And the battalion XO here at 4th, like he was like, hey, do you realize like you're part of like history? This is the first ever training event that we've ever done in the battalion. And you're a part of that. Like you wrote the SOP. And I was like, well, when you put it that way, wow.
Doesn't that like shock yourself? Like,
yeah.
And like, I don't want to take away from like the shitty people that took away from your award because it doesn't mean anything. The award is just a piece of it's a ribbon. You know,
Yeah,
it's a piece
yeah.
of it's a piece of
I know what I
cloth.
did, and I know that it effectually changes
impact
the lives of these maintainers.
Butterfly effect, like
Yes.
we talked about.
Well, I hope because when I leave this place,
You're not going to see it. You're not going to see it.
no, I'm not going to see it.
But
when I leave this place, like I don't know what's
Yes.
going to happen. Like are they going to maintain it? Am I the only one that cares about it?
Or it doesn't really matter if they do or they don't. You are part of history, and you're going to influence and change doctrine, which is
Mhm.
black and white, which was our job
Yeah.
in the military, especially on the non-commissioned officer side. We don't make it.
Mm-mm.
We just enforce it.
Yeah.
You are that black and white.
Yeah. That's incredible when you put it that way.
No, you're incredible.
Thanks for
Fuck
this
up.
realization, man. I'm so happy to have you on this show. We do need to wrap it up.
Okay.
So,
I think you should wrap it up talking about yourself and then what you're proud of yourself about.
My humble ass would never.
No, I think you should either break that.
So I do.
So yeah, I
Okay.
understand that. I understand like the
Mm-hmm.
social media is like, oh, humble yourself. You're not that
The
badass.
Hispanic in
Fuck
me.
that.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit. You are a badass.
True.
Express to your viewers and to your listeners what makes you a badass and what you're proud about yourself. Because this is your podcast.
That's true. I am. I guess.
What are you proud of the most about yourself? Like what obstacle that you finished and you're like, fuck yeah, this is who I am to my core.
We already talked about it, but what I'm proud of as far as what I bring to the table is I'm proud of myself for going after every single one of my goals that I've set in my whole life. I can proudly say that I have done everything I've ever said I'm going to do. So when I
Oh
say
yeah.
I'm going to airborne school and I'm going to succeed, I'm going to airborne school and I'm going to succeed. I'm going to get
You
those
hear that, the
wings.
Secretary of the Army?
Yes. And
You should
so
follow Secretary of the Army. I know you follow a lot of influencers out there at the AUSA. Oh no, AUSU conference that happened like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think that you should be one of those pinnacle people.
I do want to be a panel speaker one day.
Oof.
And I want to host my own networking event like that and mentorship event.
Let's
So
do
I
it.
want to
Let's do it.
establish, and I'm already in the works on
And we're
this.
call-
I want
and
to
what are we-
establish a scholarship in my name and raise funds so that women of minority can have an opportunity to put
Not
forth
based off because they're a minority, but
No,
because
but
of talent.
because of talent, right? And
Yes.
and just the willingness to get flying lessons, right?
Because what makes you talented? What Hispanic trait that you have that is just like in your core, your genetic core, like in your DNA that
In my
makes you
DNA, it would be
successful?
the grit and the no quit attitude, right? And I want to recognize other women like that and help them along the way because I know flying lessons are expensive. And I want to be able to make sure that those right people are in the jobs that they need to be in because that's what matters. And if the barrier to entry and getting into those jobs is hard, then I want to be able to raise funds, build a scholarship opportunity, and get those funding to the right
Because
people.
it's not a DEI thing.
No,
It's not that.
It's
just like there is talent in our
there is talent in
in
our
our-
community,
yes.
and
They're
I
just
got
not
here
afforded that opportunity.
exactly, and I got
Yes.
here because of hard work, not because anybody gave me a handout because I'm a
breaking down
woman,
barriers.
not because anyone gave me a handout because of DEI. Because if they did, I would not have struggled this hard. If
Yeah,
they did,
absolutely. You wouldn't just be you
Yeah.
just be handed
No.
to it, not like
they'd be like,
hey,
"Here,
I
you're
had
a
the-
woman. Here's the thing you can do." No,
you broke fucking
and
stereotypes.
I'm proud of
Sorry.
myself for that. I'm so proud of myself for that, and never ever selling out my integrity, never losing my compassion, and
And not
always
losing who you are.
Yes, not losing who I am
God,
and
it sounds so
always
bad.
being willing to help others because that's what's important.
That's part of our culture. That is
Yeah.
a part of our culture. Like that at the genetic level, that is
Yeah.
part of our culture. Like I talk to so many people and they're like, "Oh, like why do you do this? Why do you do this?" I was like, "I don't know." Like at the genetic level, I don't
Yeah.
know why I just dismiss all doubt and just give you purity, like
Mhm.
because it's in our culture. Like
Yeah,
in
to
our
take
culture,
care of other people.
in the Hispanic culture, we are family. We are
Yeah.
a part of the same family race.
Yeah,
And the army does help you put you in that place.
it is true. But I want to thank you for coming
What?
on my show, opening me up and asking me these questions.
This is your podcast. This
Yes,
is your podcast.
and you've given me a lot to think about and really understand like my influence
You
and my
should
power.
be proud of what you have accomplished,
Mhm.
and no one should be able to take that away from you. Regardless of the relationship to you,
Mhm.
no one will take away the hard work, the obstacles that you've come and crossed. Stop. Look at me. You fuck. Don't cry. Fuck you. Jeez. These are things that no one can take away from you.
That's right.
No one on fucking social media. No fucking unknown unanimous freaking user 253694220 should take away and like
Should tag him.
yeah, like you're gonna get shit talkers. Like
Yeah.
you're this and that. But in reality, 90% of the people that you're affected.
Yeah.
Like you don't know the butterfly effect of what you are doing in a positive light that will affect the next generation of women. and men, like it's
And
not
men,
even
yeah, it's
yeah.
not that like,
Of
yeah.
Hispanics in general. It
Just
doesn't even mean
yeah.
fucking His
Like I said, I just wanna positively impact the lives of others and
and you
share
are doing
this.
that, and you just the problem is you can't recognize the greatness that you're going through because you're living through it, and
That's
that's such a
right.
hard thing to understand and be like, "Humble yourself." Fuck that. Fuck
Fuck
that.
that.
Fuck humble yourself. Lock in and just get it fucking done.
I love that. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the mantra.
Yeah.
So, you guys heard it here. Lock in and get it fucking done. Thank you so much, Tech.
Of course.
Sky Mommy out.
I don't see you fighting. I don't